In the last video, I talked about dynamic arrays, vectors, and I said that they're a type of enhancement to standard arrays, and STL allows us to do really cool things with what's known as generic programming. But really, I should take a step back and make sure that you understand plain old C style fixed size arrays. So let's just create in some code here. We're going to say, let me make that a little smaller. Say int my array, and then we're going to say that it has a size of 5. So what's actually happening here? When we write this piece of code, we've actually so we have our computer memory off to the side here. So let's write, and I'll make sure to do it far enough over here. Our memory, and then so we're going to draw out some memory here. Let's say we'll draw a bunch here because we're not going to use them all. And then let's give them some addresses. So let's say this is, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but we're gonna, well, I'll leave it simple for now. Let's just, we'll say 100. Oh, 1. This isn't in a realistic computer. This isn't how we would see the addressing, but I'll give an example in Visual Studio on realistic addressing. But let's just keep things simple, and we'll just start counting from 100. 1, 3, 4. And so what we have is we declared our array and say this memory is used and this memory is used, and the first piece of unused memory is 102. So basically what happens is the compiler blocks out this memory and says this is going to be for my array. So I'm going to grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then so the next, if I were to write an integer, I'll just say int j. What happens is the compiler and the operating system come along and say, okay, well this 101 or 100 and 101 are used, and then this area is used by the array, and then so our next available is 107, and then say we'd just put j in there. Okay, so this would be my array. Okay, hopefully that makes sense so far. And then so what happens is when we actually go to use this thing, when we index it and say we want to use, say, well, let's set my array. Let's say we wanted to set the 0, 1, 2 element. We wanted to set that to 4. So now within this box here, we'd say 0, 1, 2, and this is actually, this would contain 4. Don't worry about this little x. What we're saying in here is that it now contains 4. And if we were to come along and do some cout statement on this, so say we're to do a cout, let's say my array, and then an endl. Don't worry about it. I'll just to make it shorter, just stop it right there. So we're doing a cout on my array and then that element. So this is the 0 element, this is the 1 element, this is the second element. I should, sorry, it's really it's the third element, but we count from 0, so it's 0, 1, 2. And so that's basically what happens, is that within memory, it's taking a chunk and it's using them in order. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. If maybe you were weak on arrays in COP 2000 and didn't really actually understand what was going on in memory, when we talk about dynamic arrays, basically this same thing happens, except for once we fill all these up, then we would and let me just illustrate that what happens. So let's pretend we've got now a dynamic array. Just kind of not really number these, we're just going to put a bunch of memory slots. And so say this fills up. What happens is after it fills up, the operating system comes along and says, I'm going to copy all these over here. So now we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus, I'm going to make sure that I have some extra ones available. So let's do that in a different color. Because I know this is already our 5, we're using all our 5, and so we've copied those over. But realistically, the whole reason for copying over is we're going to need some extra space eventually. So let's make another 5 available. And then so once it's done with that whole process, well, what we want to do is free this up. And so we actually will just delete all the stuff in here. And then the next time the operating system comes along and is looking for a free area of memory, it says, 102 is available, so let's go ahead and put something in there. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. I'll do some more stuff in Visual Studio to actually really show you what's going on with arrays, but that's just kind of a high level, sort of intuitive sense of what exactly an array is and what's going on in the background with memory with arrays.